Hello and welcome to the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club, where if falling in love with a gangster is wrong,
I don't want to be right.
I'm Courtney. I'll be your host, and I'm joined today by Layne from the DL on BL. Hi, Layne. Thank you so much for being here.
I've been waiting to be here. I'm so glad. I'm so thankful.
I'm so excited to have you on. We are covering The Dangerous Convenience Store, which is our BL Manhwa of the month and one of mine, and I know one of your absolute favorites because can you show us the tattoo?
Yes, big fan.
So exciting. So I found you on socials and then started listening to your podcast. So I just want to let everybody know where they can find you. The DL on BL is one of 3 of your podcasts. So can you just tell us a little bit about those and where we can find you?
Yeah. So the DL on BL is my most relevant to this show, DL on BL. And we primarily go through Spotify, but I also have Instagram through there. And I try to comprise all of them into mosaicgray.com because God knows what's happening across my different shows. And then my other shows, I guess to just touch them super quickly, I wanted a place to talk about things that they were all translated media. That's what I love about BL is it's from all different places and from, Western culture, but that's not all that I consume from translated media. So I wanted a podcast where I could talk about all translated media that wasn't strictly gay. So that is going to be Subdub Media Hub. And then because that's not enough for me, because I'm crazy, I also have another show that is brand new called Say Her Name. And it's really just a space where I want to talk about all sorts of people, whether they're fictional, real, historical, alive right now, that just do things that I think are cool as fuck.
I love that you have a show dedicated to raising up people who inspire you. I think that is so cool.
Thank you.
The DL on BL is a podcast I absolutely recommend to everybody out there listening right now who's like a Fujoshi or a Fudanchi. I just listened to your episode on Chicken Gege and I wanted to talk to you about your different. So I mostly started my BL journey with BL anime, BL manhwa, BL manga. I've read no Don May yet, and I wanted to talk to you about how did you get into queer media? What do you think your favorite subsect of this BL genre is? Is it Danmei? Is it BL live actions? Because you have so many episodes on BL live actions and different BL actors that you follow. So yeah, what was your journey? Did it start with K-pop? Did it start with Danmei? And where is it right now? What do you find to be your most current obsession before we get into the Dangerous Convenience Store, which is a lifelong obsession?
It's so good. I've converted so many people into Fujoshis just because of DCS. Can I just say that? I came across my very first BL manga on TikTok, but oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to tell you. I've said it on my show, but my very first BL manga I ever heard of was DFI, Dick Fight Island.
Oh my God, Dick Fight Island is iconic. And I also love that it's straight into like the humorous, vulgar kind of BL because I think it's honestly that one that is such a fun story. And a lot of people are just like, want to talk about Sasaki and Mino, and that's fine. But yeah, I'm definitely on the Dick Fight Island side of the spectrum.
But that's how it was advertised to me. It was like wild fucking Dick Fight Island. But when I read it, I was surprised. I was like, oh, they're in love.
Yeah, it's a little bit deeper and there's a little bit of plot too in there. So
but it was my very first. I literally bought it because I was like, what? Tell me more. So I scheduled the delivery of the book for a day when my husband was not home. And I hid it under my car seat for like a week until I got to work. And I remember sitting in the parking lot at work. I got to work early. At 4 a.m., I was sitting in the pitch black parking lot and I opened up DFI and I was like, what the fuck? And I hid it in my bookshelf for like 4 years after that.
Oh my God.
No, I know. And then my true immersion answer. So this is the other side of me being into BL. But so I'm like, I would say I'm a lifelong otaku, like Naruto, Sailor Moon, Inuyasha, all my life. Like most of my tattoos are. I saw randomly the trailer for Heaven Official's Blessing, the show. Yeah. And I watched the show in one go and I was like, I need more. So I bought all the books and it's just like I fell off the cliff. So Danmei was my first like true interactive immersion into BL. What was
Heaven's
your first
Official
BL?
Blessing? So Heaven Official Blessing is, I guess, that would be, what is the word? Is it
Donghua for a Chinese animated
So that was my first one, and it was because we did an episode on it last year for the BL Anime of the Month. So if you guys haven't listened to that, go check that out, and definitely rate, review, and subscribe to this show and to Layne's shows so that you guys never miss an episode. But I loved Heaven's Official Blessing. It was so good. I wanted really badly to jump into the books, and I had a couple people be like, if you jump into the books, be prepared to spend so much money on Dami and to fall down this rabbit hole that you'll never get back out of. And I had a lot of good recommendations for like the Scum Villains series. And there's the Husky and the cat.
Husky and his white cat.
Yeah, that one people were really excited about. So I really loved listening to your episodes on Danme because it was helping me narrow down and figure out which stories I will be diving into. Maybe next year, instead of a Manhwa of the month, I will do a Danme of the month if I can carve out the time for reading, because obviously those are going to be majority written like a novel, full-length paragraphs and everything. And for me, the manhwas and mangas were nice because they're such quick reads, but definitely it's a world that I know once I slip into, I am going to get lost in.
You're never coming back.
So it's been really fun listening to those episodes of yours as well, where you get specific into Danme, because I think that they're really educational. And for somebody who's looking for a resource on that specific subsect of the genre, check out the DL on BL. What would your favorite Danme be? Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I think I have a favorite, but it is not the one that I am currently tattooing on my body, which is like, what are you doing? The one I'm tattooing on my body is actually, I don't know if you're on video, but it's from Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, or The Untamed. It's really good. It's a classic, a fucking classic. If you haven't heard, like if you're new to Danme, you're either going to hear about Heaven Official's Blessing, or you're going to hear about Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, which are by the same author, fucking goddess. Okay? MXTX is the author's
and
acronym.
Is Grandmaster a little bit more mature than Heaven Officials?
No. Okay, so the funny thing about Danme, these Danmes, Husky and his white cat, is kinky. But I would say both of them, the main story is very safe and like almost anyone can read it. It's the extras, so after the main plot has completed, that just are hard, they go hard in those extras. So the story itself, both of them, I would say, are really cool, really safe, especially if you consume any of the adaptations like the donghwas or the live actions. Safe. I watch it with my kids.
And that's definitely one of those points for anyone out there who's listening. We're going to talk about the Dangerous Convenience Store today, which, although it's censored in the artwork, it is completely explicit story, so much so that there's very few chapters where we're not getting somebody in bed with somebody else. And when we're talking about Chinese Danme and Donghua, there's so much censorship that, oftentimes that intimacy is something you have to read between the lines. So I think that's another thing that has kept me from diving into the genre yet, is because I am such a freaky reader that I'm like, oh, I love smut first. And I know that I will have to be a little bit more interpretive when we're talking about Chinese media that has harsh censorship.
But that's slow. It is. But it's also what's beautiful about Danme to me is that the more you consume it, the more you learn. Like, it's very much like, oh, their pinkies touched across the table, but it's so symbolic, and it's just, I'm so biased and I don't even care. I love it. But when you get there to those extras, they deliver, baby. They're so gross. They're so kinky.
I love that. So how did you end up coming out of the closet as a Fujoshi to your husband if you were originally hiding those books beneath your car seat? Did you finally just let your freak flag fly?
I did. Well, it started with Danme, and it was really cute and simple. I don't actually know how it probably started when I started finishing Danme series, and they like the final book would come with like the postcards and stuff, and I have a whole wall right there that you can't see that is just Danme men posters, and it's like, sorry, babe, not sorry. I don't know. That's another thing I kind of want to talk about later, is what I feel like BL has done for me and why I really got into it so hard.
Please, get into a little bit what it has done for you. This is a great time to tell me more about how being a Fujoshi is a little bit deeper than a lot of people want to credit it for.
You actually helped me realize just recently that I started this show, my show, DL on BL, the same month I had my third child. I birthed my third baby. Crazy. I know. Thank you for helping me realize that, because I feel like I found BL in a time in my life when I was postpartum or pregnant and then postpartum with my third baby. And romance and intimacy in the female body was not something I feel like I was capable of handling at the time. And I really, really credit BL with the body positivity and the sexual positivity that I have today and helping me with go through that. Because every pregnancy, every postpartum is different. But I don't know, after number 3, I was like, wow, I don't want to be in my body anymore. And it really, I don't know, that's where I credit it.
I have always been like a very openly sexual
Mhm.
person and like maybe overtly. And I loved that finally I found a genre that was showing all the positions and all
Mhm.
the different sexualities and genders and combinations of those things that are
Mhm.
available, because in straight media I felt like it always fell into this really predictable pattern that wasn't recognizable to me, and I wanted more inspiration
Mhm.
for like how my life and my sexuality could grow and expand. And I felt like BL was a way that I was able to break out of that box that women are
Yes.
usually shoved into, of like, this is what your sexuality is, this is what your sex life is going to be like, especially after you're married. And I found BL
Yes.
right when I was getting married, and I was like, I don't want marriage, and I don't want like looking at my 30s. I don't want all of that to be a time where my world gets smaller. I want it to be a time where
Yes.
I become more myself and I get my horizons expand. And that's exactly what this genre did for me. So I think that's really encouraging. And I hope for any Fujoshis out there who are like, why do I even like this genre? Is this weird for me to like? I hope hearing our experiences in that help you a little bit understand that it can be that deep and that important to your personal journey. And it's
Yes.
fine if fiction and romance is the thing that helps you get back in your body, get back into your personality, your hobbies. That's a wonderful and universal thing that I think more people should explore and understand. I think it's a wonderful reality that we have available to us.
That is the blessing of literature and why it stands the test of time and why we analyze books from forever ago. It's just, I very much agree with what you're saying, and it has done me a lot of good.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's one of the reasons that the romance genre is one of the only profiting genres in the book publishing industry, because
Yeah.
it is helpful to women and it does stand the test of time. It's a classic for a reason.
Ironically, especially as a woman or female identifying or female experiencing or what all of that in between and then some that I probably can't even fathom. I feel like, yeah, even BL as a term and genre itself can look so small to people. It's what you make it. That's true of anything in the world. I praise it and what it's done for me and what I hope it's continuing to do for other people. It's great.
And I definitely think that the conversations around queerness, especially
Mhm.
with like heterosexual passing or presenting people who are interested in this genre, being able to be like, actually, my queerness it's not simple and I don't want it to be hidden. And just because I am in a relationship that might seem straight to everybody else doesn't mean that
Mhm.
there aren't parts of my queerness I want to explore. So I love that that's another thing that art does for us. And I really,
Mm.
I encourage people to dig back into their understanding of their gender and their sexuality through this kind of media, so that even if they're in their old married hag like me, they can start to, I don't know, flesh out those complexities and be comfortable talking about them, and not fear this conversation that surrounds this kind of media where people say like, you're just straight and you're fetishizing and these people
Hmm.
are gay and only gay people can have this media,
Mhm.
and you're one or the other, and you cannot be blending and blurring the lines of these labels. And I think that every time we come out and we come up with a show or a podcast, or
Yeah.
the people who write these stories,
Yeah.
you know, are posing that counter argument, I think is a really important next step in our progression and our understanding of these
Yes.
questions.
And thank you for saying the word art because it is so interpretive and it's so universal. The fact that BL is art, it can do so much for different people from different places. Like you had said before, Don May can be scary because it's a whole ass book that you don't, it's not a culture I'm from and I learn something new every time. But BL, while that is also true, it is literally pictures and It's a different immersive experience. Yeah.
And I think it makes it really accessible too. And the fact that this is a media that you can definitely find adaptations where you get like a TV show or an anime or the full length novel or a light novel that mixes the two. Just a little different. And the fact that there's an accessibility level for each person, somebody with hearing disabilities or reading disabilities or what have you, or you don't speak a language, there's usually an adaptation here, there, or elsewhere where you can dig your fingers in. And I think that is really nice and accessible. I wish there was more audiobooks, but listening to your Chicken Gege episode, I got some notes down about some audiobooks as well that are available. So it is a nice thing about this genre is that it expands into all of the fields of art. And I really do consider it art, regardless of how smutty it is or how smutty it isn't.
Yeah.
Anything that makes you feel things and question life, I think it can be defined as art.
You mentioned representation, and I think with a modem, a media piece that is small and you can get through in maybe an hour, the ability to have so much representation. I have mangas. I have a page on my Mosaic Row website where I try to take BLs and take specific representations that I see and shout them out, for lack of better terms. But I've come across more diversity in the human body or the mental experience through BL than any other genre. And I'm talking like any form of disability, whether real or fictional, social or economic. Like I've seen it more in BL than anywhere else. And that's pretty cool, I think.
I think it's really impressive, and definitely the subgenres of BL, the alternative universes, the Omegaverse, the Subverse, the Cakeverse, these the different historical genres. We are able to touch on certain, socio-political topics that sometimes are just completely missed when we're doing like a modern rom-com in the Western media.
Yeah, it's as silly or as serious as you want it to be, and you allow it to be.
And with that being said, so we talked about Danmei, we talked about your favorite Danmei and the one you're currently getting tattooed, but what is your all-time favorite delusional boyfriend? Who is your number one delusional boyfriend from any series, from any coupling? Who would it be?
All my life, it's Kakashi. But recently, all of my friends are like, oh, you and Guts from Berserk, that's a thing. I send them like new panels all the time of Guts from Berserk. It's a fucking problem. It's not a problem because we all love it. But my friends would say that Guts is my boyfriend, but Kakashi is always in my life. He's right. Where are you, Kakashi? Right there.
So Kakashi is kind of your delusional husband, and Guts is a bit of a current affair.
Guts is lovely. Yeah. But they both are clearly pretty gay in my opinion, so I'll just stay over here and watch.
Right there with you. My husband just finished Berserk, the manga. His obsession with it was so palpable and like pervasive that I definitely have to read it now, even though he spoiled so much of it for me. But the dynamics in there, the gender and sexuality dynamics, the consensual and non-consensual elements and conversations, the love triangle. I was like, you are reading a romance. And he's like, no, it's like more than that. And I was like, no, romance is more than you understand it to be.
Yes, it's every BL trope and then some, and things that I can't. Oh my God, there's actually so much social commentary in Berserk, and then you just rage on all of it. It's so good. It's so good. It's fun.
I love that. And speaking of tropes, so like getting into Dangerous Convenience Store, I want to talk about the tropes a little bit. The biggest tropes in the Dangerous Convenience Store are going to be age gap. We have Yakuza slash gangster. Yakuza's Japan, but we've got a gangster romance going on here. We have a green flag romance all the way through and through. This is fluffy black cat meets golden retriever type energy. We do have a tiny bit of angst and a tiny time skip. So that is in there. If that upsets you, do trigger warning. That will definitely come up in this story. But yeah, we've got a lot. We've got a forgiveness trope going on here. We have a revenge trope going on here. At one point, we definitely have a little bit of a jealousy and a love triangle dynamic. It's not a love triangle that actually it doesn't manifest itself. But those are some of my biggest tropes from this story. Can you think of any others that I am missing?
I think you did pretty well. I would also maybe add had very, very loosely like a college setting, super loosely, not quite relevant to the love itself. And then eventually some office spacey romance. It's very gentle, real life
Absolutely.
setting.
The campus romance is fun because there's an age gap, and one character is in college and the other character is a gangster in a corporation. And then in our side stories, we get a dream sequence where the other character, we get to flash back and see him in college. So I do think that's a really valid trope. And then we also have that office romance at the very end as well. They do get to work together in an office setting. So if you're into that trope, it's really fun. And that's one reason why a 90 chapter manhwa is fun, because the author can kind of take us into those different areas and into those different tropes. And then I would say there is an element of found family as well, because neither one of these characters have parents that are in their life. They definitely are. Main characters are named Ujun, and forgive me for my pronunciations, and then Ajusi. And Ajusi is our gangster who is like 35 at the beginning of the story. And then Ujun, who is a college student, is like 23, 25 at the beginning of this story. And his parents are dead and his brother is in a coma. Now, Ajusi, we don't know about his family, but we do know that he has been in this gang for a long time. And the leader of that corporation, which is like a company, is the gang leader and a bit of a surrogate father figure. And his son is a bit of a surrogate brother figure. So we have that found family element there as well, which is a favorite of mine. And I do like how the author wraps up this story at the end by kind of giving us their little close-knit inner circle and how their loneliness is not only soothed by each other, but by these other side characters as well.
Yes, I call that like I'm just making this up now, the gangster getting out trope. Like it's very much a gangster, but he's trying to live a real life.
Okay, so if those are all of our tropes, I'm going to hand it over to you. We've kind of gone over our character introductions, but will you lead us through the Dangerous Convenience Store and give us our summary breakdown? Full spoilers ahead, so everyone be warned.
Dude, full spoilers ahead. Okay, so all aboard. I feel like Dangerous Convenience Store is one of those, I don't know, it's one of those titles that really actually hits the nail on the head up front. You know how some BLs, like, they give you the name and you're like, what in the fuck does this mean? And then at the end of the story, you're like, it all makes sense. Dangerous Convenience Store is on the nose. So
absolutely.
I know. Lee Jun is, we've kind of hinted at, a broke, orphan status college student who, honestly, I've never been more impressed by like the moral compass and the drive of a character than I have with this guy, with our MC. So Dangerous Convenience Store, he goes to school during the day. By night, he works the night shift at a convenience store. But it's dangerous because this specific store's location is known to be frequented by probable gangsters. But our lovely, broke, slightly orphaned main character kind of sucks it up. He can handle it, and he gets like more money for working the night shift in this place. And this is how the Dangerous Convenience Store leads him to Gunwoo, Ajusi. Yeah, and that's a pretty straightforward plot without getting to it, and it's very slow, very natural, very graceful how their relationship develops. But we kind of see our main character confide in this random fucking gangster that for whatever reason is listening to him about his woes with his romance troubles.
Main character is, like you're saying, they have a really strong moral compass, and they also have this very high threshold for stress and pain and their tolerance for this kind of nonsense. So we meet this character, and he is putting up at school with a crush of his, not returning his affection. And he is also putting up with these gangsters at work who are bullying him. And that's when our love interest kind of enters the scene. And I will also say that our main character has a high tolerance for pain when it comes to sex.
He's never ready for his arc. his character arc.
He's a size queen. And so he is like, honestly, he's like, I'm tough. I can put up with it. So when we meet this love interest, he basically Ajusi, which means like a middle-aged man in Korea. I think one translation of Mr. One translation is kind of like an uncle-aged person. So when Ajusi walks in the store, he sees the clerk getting bullied by a customer and he kicks the customer out and he kind of defends the clerk. And at first it's a little bit selfish. He just wants to get through the line and make his transaction. But when he lays eyes on this guy who is quite a bit younger than him and the first guy he's ever been attracted to, he continues to make excuses to have these interactions with him. And one of their first interactions is sitting outside smoking a cigarette outside the convenience store. And he tells him about this unreciprocated crush at school. And he's saying, I want to get over him. I just want a guy with a great body who is tall with a dick. And that's like a big part of this storyline is he's like, I just want a guy with a huge dick.
In real life, if someone was like, oh, I got a big dick, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. No, Ajusi can stay. Can I say that?
Ajusi can sit. And can you just describe to us physically what he looks like? Because this is one of my top manhwa characters of all time, and it has to do with his physicality. A lot of people hate yaoi hands, but this character has like huge hands. Can you give us more of the description of like his body?
He's a big boy, but proportionately so. He stands like a head or so taller than our MC. Dark hair, broad shoulders. He very clearly, you look at him and he's got like a button up, very clear like, are you a gangster vibes? And he has a big scar across his neck to one side, covered in scars everywhere, just kind of scratches and whatever. But he's a big man, broad shoulders, filled out.
Yeah, and a man with a visible scar, like a Toji character.
Yeah.
The scar on Aussie's neck is so hot to me. I am so here for it. And it's definitely one of those things that, you know, if he was a businessman, he definitely wouldn't be this buff and scary and covered in scars. So it's something
Your
that
button-up isn't fooling us, sir.
No, it is not. Your shiny business is not fooling us.
But he exudes like both put together and like, oh, I'm scared. I think I'm aroused. It's great. And, he is a beautiful man.
And the artwork in this is censored in the way that we would call lightsabers. So we don't get the glow stick. We don't get it fully colored in. And I have gone on record saying I would sell a kidney to see this colored in by this author and get the full uncensored version. But it is huge. Like it's one of the biggest in all of the BL universes.
But it's like naturally so. Can I say, I see plenty that I'm like, no, baby, that's some fake shit. This is scary. Realistically,
yes. This is not a monster cock. This is like it looks proportionate and massive. And as a size queen, I'm like, give me an Advil. Like, put me in.
I had 3 babies, but now I'm like, baby, I don't need this in my life. Okay. So kudos to you. I love this for you.
I love this. I don't know. And I love the way that, if there's certain things in your real life that you're not actually interested in, romance novels and smut allows you to be like, you know what? In this universe, I can enjoy a massive monster schlong. Maybe I wouldn't in my real life at this point in time, but my brain can go there in a fictional space, which I think is so much fun.
Can I also say Jun is not a small boy. Our main character is not a small boy. He's very average, but in the sense of like, I would even define him as manly. He is a classic like bottom puppy dog type, but I've made notes of it. He has like a very strong moral compass. He has just like, he doesn't take shit, but he also doesn't start shit. He's a good boy. I would want this man on my team for sure.
And when he's willing to put up with something, he's willing to put up with it. But when he's ready to walk away, he walks the fuck away, which I really like about him. He's done his military service. He's not childlike. Very often in BL, we'll see some tropes where someone is drawn very like infantilized or they have an infantilized like way of speaking. He is educating himself and bettering himself, and he works all of the time. He is very manly to me, and I think that is something that I love about this author, is that they didn't fall in with this easy trope of just writing not only an extremely effeminate character, but a kind of like sexist, like baby boy surrogate for what we would usually see as a female character in a romance.
Yeah.
I think this author really put their all into making this character seem like a real person. Once we have this initial meeting, it becomes very obvious to Ajusi how he feels about this clerk. And one of the stereotypes that authors really fall into with BL that I think makes it not super progressive as far as a gay story goes is like the gay for you trope. And you and I had talked about how Ajusi breaks free from this, because when he has his gay awakening, he doesn't just say, you know, I would fuck you even though you're a man. Like, if we do it from behind, I can pretend you're a girl. He doesn't say that. What is his iconic line?
He's like, oh, if I like you, I guess I'm fucking gay. This
I
man
guess I'm fucking
makes
gay.
F-bombs just like, I've never seen better F-bombs dropped in Manhwa. He is an icon because he is confident enough in himself that you feel confident being around him, or even us reading him. Like, the confidence is so genuine. He is genuinely the most iconic.
And he's very straightforward. And another character tells our main lead when he's like having doubts about how this gangster feels about him. This other character, who is kind of like a surrogate brother to Ajusi, he says, you'll have an easier time if you take what he says at face value. If he says he's mad at you, he's mad at you. And if he says he's not mad at you, he's not mad at you.
I fucking like you.
I fucking like you. If I like a man, I am gay. And if I'm okay with being gay, then I'm okay with being gay. And you don't need to worry about me and any like internalized or shame going on here, because I've already come to terms with it, and I am like, I'm all for it. And I also love that he doesn't have an issue with their age gap, and that this age gap is a very appropriate age gap, because we see it done kind of gnarly in a lot of stories,
especially in the academic setting. It's not in this case. And I want to continue. You've really laid out how amazing Ozzy is, but I want to return to our main character. He is very strong, and I think we've laid out the ways that he's very strong, but there are things that are not going great. So there's very clear instances where he has that kind of semi-orphan background and his brother in a coma, but it's also very clear, especially in his interactions with his first love interest, that he is not being heard. He is not being nurtured. He is not being cared for. And he has learned as a person, oh, people don't want to hear about my truth. People don't want to hear about my actual experiences and what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking, because it brings them down. People have told me, oh, I'm so sorry that your brother's in a coma, but can we talk about something happy? But this author is stunning because they really present so much without force feeding you. And I love the way that listens to our main character and lets him feel what he's feeling without really interjecting his feelings or forcing a reaction out of our main character. He just lets him be. That's the most beautiful part of the relationship.
And the really fun thing about this like age gap and the fact that one's in college and one's a gangster is that they don't have a ton of similar experiences. So sometimes all they can offer is listening. And that's a really important skill for all of us to learn, especially with romantic partners, is like, you don't always have to solve it. You don't always have to understand it. You can sympathize and listen without ever having gone through those things. And another thing I really like about our main character is that his understanding of his sexuality is very firm. He knows he's gay. He's clear about being gay. And this first love interest, and then later on down the line, it does come up with somebody else. But this first love interest is definitely with a woman and is kind of closet. He refers to it as a partner, but we do find out that he is dating a girl and then kind of trying to see our main character on the side in this DL way, in this closeted way. And then our main character, when he's finally fed up with that, he's just like, you know, I deserve more than being your secret. And I am gay and I'm okay with that. And I want to eventually hold someone's hand as I walk down the street, and maybe marriage isn't legal for me. And and maybe that's something I can't envision for myself, but I would like to imagine a partner who wants that with me. And it is really cool that Ajusi, who has lived his whole life as a straight man, immediately starts to wonder, can I offer that to this person? And can I be the person to provide that life and that dream and make that come true for them? They're such a good person and they know themselves so well. How can I fulfill these dreams that they might have instead of hiding them away in the closet or making them a side piece? So I do really like how our main character is confident that that person is going to be out there for him. And when he cuts off this first love interest, he cuts him off full stop. He's like,
is impressive. It should be like a lesson in dating 101, the way that our main character cuts off his first crush and is just like, I like me more than I like whatever this bullshit is that you're spewing. That is such an impressive moment. And it's done really casually, but it was really big.
And I think that like the pacing in this story is really good. And the question of like how old we are and what we're ready for, and time wasters and people who aren't helping us push the needle forward in the way we want to, like where they belong in our lives, or if we should kick them to the curb. That's constantly put forth. And this first love interest, our main character has had a crush on for 3 years. And when he's ready to cut them out of his life, he feels that emptiness of like, okay, what is it meant to have feelings for this person for 3 years? And later on with Ajusi, we will have a bit of a time skip where we have that question of, have these people wasted my time in the same way? And is one forgivable and the other not forgivable? And where do if I've stood so on business in the past, how do I see myself maybe changing my mind or forgiving somebody in another circumstance? And so I like that this character is firm in his principles and also flexible with his feelings and able to reapproach a situation and be like, I know who I am, and I can also understand the uniqueness in these different love interests and these different experiences and go about them different ways while still maintaining my principles and my hard lines. Ajusi has his kind of surrogate brother named Chaehyun, and then our main character's brother is in a coma. And then Ajusi's younger brother, who he was in this gang with, is kind of an adversary as far as the company that he works for and the gang he's in. He's a little bit acting as competition. And then when he's introduced into the plot, we have him making some moves on our main character, maybe to piss off Ajusi a little bit, and maybe also just because our main character is attractive. And Chaehyun is gay and out gay as well, and that's his part of his life and his identity. So when he sees this other gay man and knows that Ajusi isn't, up until this point, hasn't been gay, he kind of takes his opportunity to move in on this guy. And Ajusi, who they, like you said, have a very kind of natural coming together as boyfriend and boyfriend, but their first real interaction is Ajusi saying, I have a huge dick, let's sleep together, you can test me out. So they get in the sack right away, and we know that they have an amazing sex life. These scenes are like beautifully drawn. We're switching position, we're hitting it in the car, we're doing
the stereotype of like a gentle gangster, which this scene specifically, I mean, I don't know how well you're going to see it, but it is from in the car when after Ajusi grabs him by the wrist and like hurts him and bruises the watch on accident, he's kissing his wrist. That's specifically the panel that I have tattooed.
And then all of the things that like in a lot of other stories, it'll be like the bottom is the only one who ever like gives a blowjob or anything like that. And Ajusi's like an eater. He is like a service dog. He is about it, and he is doing everything he can. The first time they get together, it hurts because he's so big, and he's like, I won't let it hurt again, and that's kind of not possible, but he does everything he can
into the game.
He dives in.
It's beautiful.
His like foreplay, everything, that his like kind of research also, because he's not familiar with this kind of sex, he really does everything he can to make this man feel good. And this, you know, our main character isn't totally ready to move on from his last crush. So he doesn't very open. He says, I don't know anything about you. You're clearly a gangster and you won't tell me anything about you. And so I can't really return your feelings until I know more. And it is very clear to him when this other gangster who is like Ajusi's brother comes in and makes a move on him, and he kisses him, and then he's like, do you like Ajusi? If you're rejecting my kiss, do you actually like him? And that's one of his first moments where he really asserts himself and his boundaries with somebody else. And he also allows himself to identify his feelings and be like, this is not just hooking up. I really do like Ajusi, and whether or not I know anything about him or I'm ready to move forward, I know that I have feelings for him that I have to address, and I don't have those feelings for you, and I don't want to do that with you, and you shouldn't cross this boundary of mine again, but you've made me realize I definitely do need to address the feelings I have for Ajusi.
Yeah. And I think that's what you and me were kind of like really meaning when we were referring to his moral compass, is he's very clear with Ajusi throughout all of this arc of like, I don't know if I like you. I'm dealing with this breakup, not breakup. And just, he's very clear with Ajusi, the state of his feelings throughout. And it's fucking refreshing.
It's very refreshing.
To even express like, I don't know, let's find out.
And I need my time. And we have Ajusi taking some measures in his own life to maybe get out of this gang world. And we do learn that there is a revenge plot going on here where the person who got him in this gang forced him into it, cut his throat, and
that fucked me up.
Really trapped him in this lifestyle that he didn't want to be in.
Physically abusive,
very abusive and manipulative, and he is very trapped, and that is Chae-yeon's dad. And so when he wants to get revenge on his dad, he ends up killing him, and he also has to take certain measures with Chae-yeon that look like betrayal from the outside, which they do really work through. They love each other, I think, as brothers. But it is very complicated for our main character to see this gangster who will not be transparent with him about his life do things that look dangerous, because this is the dangerous convenience store. He is a mobster, and he sees this dangerous lifestyle, and he's like, I don't know how I could ever realize a life and a future with you. And meanwhile, Ajusi is doing everything he can to get his revenge, get out of this lifestyle, change the
legitimize the work he's doing. Yeah,
exactly. It legitimize the company that they're at and make a real future for him and his boyfriend that would be sustainable and legal and not violent. And that does mean he has to confront his own violent past, the people he's hurt. And in this real-time story, he hurts his friend Jihyun, and our main character witnesses it on accident. He's on the phone when he hears Ajusi brutally attack his his homie, his little brother, his bestie, and he doesn't hear the conclusion of that. He only hears the attack. And so the next time he sees Ajusi, it's not that gentle giant who is so conscious of his feelings. It's Ajusi coming to him with blood on his clothes, and he knows whose blood that is. It's a character who, even though he has made a move on him, he's kind of befriended.
But this is another example of his like clear moral compass. He's like, bro, no, I'm not about it.
Not okay. And I love that about this storyline, is that is our big conflict, is him saying, if you treat me well and you treat the people in your life well, I will think you're a good person. Even if you are doing other bad things or you're in a bad line of work, then you're a good person in my books. And so when he sees him come through the door with blood on him and he has no explanation for why he would betray his friend like that, he lays down the law with Ajusi and says, I don't know who you are. I thought you were a better man than this. I don't know why you would take these measures. Ajusi cannot explain to him what is going on without revealing this entire mob plot that, if it got out, would get him killed, would ruin his plan. And so he makes this kind of last-ditch effort to get his love across, and he forces a kiss on this man and ends up knocking him over, and our main character cuts his hand when he fights back. And it's the first and only time we have any element of non-consensuality. It's a kiss. And right then Ajusi sees how scared our main character is, and he says, okay, I hear you loud and clear. I'm not the right man for you. You deserve a good man. I will get out of your life. And then we have a 3-year time skip. And when I read this the first time, I have never been so heartbroken by a character that was so green flag. Yeah. It was just crushing.
This breakup arc was cunty.
So we have our breakup arc, which lasts 3 years, and that parallel time wasting to the beginning chapters of this when Ajusi is the listening ear and the shoulder to cry on about his crush. He says, I have wasted 3 years of my life on this guy, and I waited 3 years for him to like me back. And I just don't know what to do with this like hole in my heart. And Ajusi always, he's like, if I have to wait 3 years for you to like me back, I will do that. I like you that much. I at one point in the story, he says, no matter how much you think I like you much more than that. It is this total parallel where this first love interest wastes 3 years of his life, our main character's life. And then after he makes these moves to restructure his organization and kind of get revenge, he ends up leaving our main character for 3 years before he has everything fixed. And in his words, the dust is settled. And our main character loses his gangster shit is now legal. And the character who hurt him is dead. And his surrogate brother is back in his good graces. And they've worked everything out. And once all of that is done, 3 years has passed. Our main character has a new boyfriend who he doesn't even like. He's just trying to get over Ajusi. And that's when he has to wrestle with that idea because Ajusi misses his graduation from college. And then he goes on to get a job at a small company. And his brother's woken up from a coma and his life is moving on. And Ajusi wasn't there for any of it. And then he goes to the convenience store to get a soda for his boss. And Ajusi walks in and Ajusi is there. And Ajusi just says, hey, like nothing had ever happened. 3 years has gone by. And now our main character has to decide, is my resentment and my hurt and this time waste of 3 years and this ghosting of the guy I loved most. He's been calling him. This guy changed his number. They were neighbors in an apartment complex and he moved out in the middle of the night. He has no idea where Ajusi has been. So if that first guy wasted 3 years of his life and he just was a crush and Ajusi was his first love, can he forgive this 3-year betrayal? He couldn't forgive the last one. So what would it mean to even open up a dialogue with Ajusi after all of this and let him explain himself? But luckily, he gives him a chance.
Yes, but it's more and less than that because again, this goes to the realism of the story. When Ajusi and our main character spark up their romance again after the breakup arc, the 3-year fuck-ass breakup arc, our main character is still in a relationship.
Yep.
And there's a whole dialogue and conversation that could really be its own separate everything about faithfulness and on both ends because it's very clear to our main character that his current boyfriend is not faithful. That's a whole conversation, blah. But yeah, so when he sparks up again the physical relationship with Audie, it is not, he doesn't feel good about it. We've mentioned time and time again his moral compass, and I would argue that you can have a strong moral compass and still fuck up, as we see here. Yeah.
And I would also say that there are times in our life where whatever code we live by and our moral compass, how that points true north, there are gray area situations where we are asked to reevaluate if we are having a certain discerning opinion on something because it's our principle and our code or because it's right and it's the right thing for us. And I love that his brother has waken up from this coma because he gets to ask his brother. He says, my current boyfriend isn't out gay. I know he's cheating on me. He won't answer my texts. I'm trying to break up with him and he won't let me break up with him.
This person.
We hate him. Yeah, screw this guy. I don't think we even really get to see his face, but he says, I know he's also in the wrong, but I cheated on him too. And I don't think that I can get back with Ajusi knowing that we are rekindling things based off of an infidelity, no matter who it was against.
Yes.
And the character's brother has to say, you're allowed to forgive yourself and you're allowed to end this relationship and you're allowed to have made certain opinions in the past and certain, decisions for yourself that in today with these new set of circumstances, you would maybe make a different choice. And it's okay to forgive yourself and forgive other people if it's worth it to you and you are, you know, allowing yourself to. And it's funny because this brother has no idea who this gangster is, who is 10 years older than his brother. And without any of those factors playing into it, he really does say, like, what do you want and what do you need in your life? And without holding yourself to some higher moral superior standard, what do you want? And do you, like, even if you're hurt by this person, do you want them in your life? And do you want to forgive them? And do you want forgiveness more than you want resentment and hatred and forgetting? Do you want to forgive him more than you want to forget him? These like dynamics have happened with us or with our friends where you have to be able to be like, if you want to forgive that man, I will still love you and I will support you. And like, if that, no matter what the situation is, I will support your decision, even if it feels like on paper the wrong thing to do, or like I should be against it and I want to hate your ex-boyfriend, but if you love him and you want to get back together with him, I will support you. And that like friendship between the brother is really what that main character needs.
He did need it. He's always needed it. But like also through this time we get classic office space sex scenes. I believe there's a printer involved.
There's a printer.
I can't.
No, the printer is one of my favorite scenes, girl. It is definitely involved. Ajusi is very persistent on being around our main character, and he is. It's never in a non-consensual way, but he is a gangster, and with other interactions in his life, he might just muscle somebody into something. And when our main character is like, hey, I've moved on with my life, Aj is persistent, and he ends up at his office place and says, you have to let me in, it's a storm outside. And when our main character is like, I don't know if that's kosher with the company, it's after hours alone. It's not my problem. And Aj still gets under his skin and is a tiny bit manipulative. He is a gangster, and he's like, you gotta let me in. You gotta let me into the office. And he says, okay, just sit in this chair, close your eyes, and don't look at anything in the office. Just sit there until the storm passes. And then, of course, he finds his chance and his opportunity and gets his kiss in, and things spark up and heat up, and we get the on top of the printer sex. And
I love that. Like, post breakup, this story is very much an office place, like romance, arguably, and I love it.
And our main character, this is another thing where, so Ajusi makes his way back into his heart. This character our main character breaks up with his other boyfriend, and he tells Ajusi, like, okay, I do want to take you back. And Ajusi, once he gets taken back, he's like, I want to spend every moment with you. I don't know why you're working so much overtime at your job. Can't you just quit your job and work for me? And again, our character shows his autonomy and his boundaries. And he says, I want to have my success at my workplace be based on my own hard work, not just taking a job at your company that now that you've legitimized it. If I ever earn a job at your company and I'm actually worth working there, I'll apply. But right now I need to work hard where I currently am, do the right thing, do my overtime, try to prove myself, because it will change my own self-esteem and how I feel about myself if I just take a handout or make my whole life about a man. And that is so impressive and totally a lesson in dating, like you were saying. This character
definitely sneaks in the CEO ex-employee trope. Like I feel like after the breakup arc, they were like, wait a minute, I like these things too, and snuck in a whole, it almost feels like a second story, but it flows organically for sure. And I mean, lo and behold, they do get together, and then we even get like a nice little cute arc side story almost of Ajusi in school, and like, oh, little boy Ajusi. It's so silly, and like, why are we here? But I ate that shit up.
Oh, I loved it. So this like main story ends after our main character takes a position, and then our side story. So it basically ends with the main story ends with asking Uyun to move in, and they live together in his beautiful apartment. They work together, and then he introduces his brother to him, and all of these characters that we've been talking about end up friends together. And so Ajusi's little brother Chaeyoon and then Ujun's older brother as like a 4-person clique.
Family meal. There's like a family meal scene that lives in my head, and this is where my crack ship steamed from, girl. Because I need the brothers. Yes! Is this your crack ship? I'm really jumping the gun, but I can't help it.
No, absolutely. So like a delusional crack ship story are those brothers. And in the author's note, somebody asked, they're like, are the brothers going to get their own side story? And the author's like, don't quote me on this, but probably not. If you want to ship them in your head, you can.
Well, we do. We do, baby.
I don't know if they're going to get side stories, which made me so sad because I was almost sure they would get side stories. And I had
She's already doing another story, though.
I hope that, yeah, I know the author's already onto something else, but I was reading these physical volumes. And so I hadn't read the end of this series until I was just like rereading for this episode. So I thought, because I've seen acrylic stands of Ajusi and Ujun married in suits, I was going to get a fucking wedding. And so when I get to these side stories, and in the side stories, Ajusi formally proposes, and then we get in the side stories them wearing wedding rings, and Ajusi says, I want to marry you, I want to be with you forever, and I will make that happen for us somehow. And we don't get to see the wedding, which was a total bummer, but we do get these fun side stories, and it's like 6 or 7 episodes called Ujun's dream. And basically we have him having this like internal crisis that Ajusi doesn't smile enough. And so
it's
so funny to me because
in
sleep he'll like try to turn his mouth up and make him smile while he's sleeping, and he gets kind of obsessed with it. And he asked Chaeyoung, he goes, is there any picture of him? What was he like in college? Is there any time he was ever just like smiling brightly? Because I want to know how he looks when he's really happy. I can tell he's happy with me, but I want to see him smile. And I want to see him when he's younger. And Chaeyoung gets a picture, and he gets so obsessed with this picture.
His like life becomes about this picture.
He has this really intense investment in his dream life, where in his dreams, he goes back to campus, and Ajusi is a freshman, which makes him younger than him. And Ajusi is calling him young. It's so...
We know what that means.
In BL, because whether it's Japanese or Korean BL, or I'm sure also in Dane, there's these terms of respect used that hold so much importance. It's like almost a nickname and a way of showing you how close you are to somebody. And then also when you start using someone's first name, it's another step of familiarity and endearment.
It's like when their pinkies touch under the table at a family dinner or whatever, and you're like,
exactly. And so that I really love that jealousy that Ajusi starts to develop towards his own self inside his husband's dreams is hilarious.
I get it, but like, no.
So funny. It's like if my husband woke up smiling from a dream, I would knife in hand be like, what are you smiling about? Who were you cheating on me in your dreams with?
Yeah. It was you, babe. Nah, bitch. I'm right here.
Yes. My husband you'll talk about, I used to have really short hair, and I met him as a freshman in college, and I was a little more goth than I am now. And sometimes he'll talk about that person he met in college, and I'm just like, you would like me better if I cut all my hair off and I look like that again. And I wore purple lipstick, and I get a little jealous of my younger self. And Ajusi,
I literally cut my fucking hair off because my husband was like, this is how we met. I'm like, fuck you, she's dead. I have 3 babies. Get out of my business.
Love that you said that, because I have been like, I go back and forth between wanting to cut it and not. And it's this bit of this identity crisis as I get to be like 30 years old of like, who am I? And I love that Ajusi snatches this picture out of his husband's hands and says,
it's so silly.
What do you like him younger? And it's one of the few times that their age comes back up where
rich my guy.
I want a younger husband. And it's like, yeah, it's just a very funny dynamic of like, I want to know who you were when you're younger. And if you did know your spouse when they were younger and you age together, it's that thing of like, you do become a whole different person. And our main character really wants to know who he was before he met him and before he was a gangster. And he tries to, in his dream life, save him from his hard gangster path. And all of that is really precious. And I thought it was a funny way to the side stories, because I really expected the side stories to either be a side couple or the wedding. And instead it's this kind of psychological. Yeah, he's like working through his own subconscious and how he felt about himself in college and how he wanted to reclaim this college romance with Juicy, because they get to have their office romance now, but they didn't get to have a campus romance. So it is a way the author is tucking that back in and also healing a little bit of our main characters through this dream sequence. So I thought it was really sweet. And then it kind of ends right after he gets to see Juicy smile and in the dream. And then
I know, which was like great, but from a reader's perspective, I was like, this is one of those stories I'm never gonna feel ready to let it go, which I could probably say about every story, but it's so, give me the babies.
This one definitely felt abrupt, even though it's a long story, and it felt abrupt because I'm so attached to them, and it's a very natural place to end the story. But I purposefully wanted to read these in the physical editions because once I got volume 1, I realized how obsessed I was going to be with this and how I wanted to slow it down and not let myself binge it so it could last as long as possible. And having to finally finish the story was very bittersweet for me because all of the different things that I imagined for them, it was really finalized. Like, this is the story and these are the characters. And this author has a new story out called The Hounds of Sisyphus, which I really like, but it's a different flavor of BL entirely.
It is very different from the author.
It's so different. But with the ending of this story for me finally, and the last volume physical that I can collect coming out in June, I have to say it really is like my favorite. It's kind of my all-time favorite BL manhwa. That it is.
It's probably one of my most, I've mentioned this so many times on my show, but if it's not this series, it's The New Recruit. Those are my two like most reread safe space. Like, I know what's gonna happen, still hurts my feelings, still makes me happy. Like this story and that one are my two most reread.
They hit right, and
they're so realistic but safe.
Both of those are some of my gateway BL, where the Dangerous Convenience Store and then The New Recruit was, I don't know, like my 10th or 12th story at getting into my Fujoshi life. So those like gateway stories that hit the tropes but are more than just surface level romance stories and feel memorable, and the characters are ones who become real to you, that I think really does solidify them as classics. And this is a classic of the genre where you go to Barnes and Nobles, this is the first one that's going to pop up at you.
And she's in color because she's a manhwa. Like, this is a great gateway, for lack of better terms.
And it's one I could recommend to so many friends because I feel like the artwork is incredible and the storyline is easy to follow and also compelling. It's a page turner. There is a lot of smut, but there's also still some plot. So I think it's an absolute classic.
Gentle and hot. Like, this is the manhwa. I remember specifically, like, my two sisters came and visited me, and we took a trip over to Savannah, Georgia. We were sitting in a graveyard waiting for sunset and waiting for our tour guide so we could go on a haunted tour, and I was just rereading Dangerous Convenience Store on my phone, and I was like, oh, he's about to fucking get it, as in like sex, not anything else. But I remember like reading it in a graveyard in Savannah, and my sister was like, what's that? That's the night a Fujoshi was made, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I made my sister Fujo with this story. Yes.
And it is like, it is uncomplicated and problematic in a way where, our age gap is so like non-problematic. There's no consent issues in this story. It is really one where you can hand it over to somebody and say, if you don't understand why I love this genre after you read this story, you'll never get it. But if you read this and you continue reading this genre, I will not be surprised, because that is like the canon plot line for most of us Fujoshis. Like, we hit this story, we love this story. I've had people tell me this story was basic or the art was mid, and I was just like, we are not the same people. It changed my life. It literally, this story, I absolutely fucking love.
Yes. Okay, so is your crack ship the same as my crack ship? Did we
the brothers?
That? Okay.
Yes, the brothers are absolutely the crack ship. So, like, with all of that being said, who is your delusion? I feel like it's obvious, but who's your delusional boyfriend from the Dangerous Convenience Store?
Definitely Ajusi's brother. What's his name? Chaehyun. Child.
Oh my gosh. I thought it would be Juicy for sure.
I mean, that's too obvious. Okay, I have like a thing where when the couple is great, leave them be. I'll be over here.
My friend Val says she's not a homewrecker, and she almost never picks one of the main characters because she's just like, I'm not a homewrecker. If I really ship them together, I will never ship myself with them because I'm not a homewrecker. I think that's so
brother's
funny.
Great though. He's looking for love. Don't play. Yes.
And he has a neck tattoo. He is everything. We love this man.
He's looking for love. Who's your number one in this? If it's not, I know it's not Juicy.
Okay. I have such a hard time. I don't know what it is, but I have such a hard time ever moving on from him. And when I read Our Sunny Days and Roses and Tiger's Den, each time I was like, okay, they usurp my number one. That's my standard. Is do I like them as much or more than Juicy? But coming back to Juicy, having done this reread, I'm like, nope, he takes the crown again. He has snatched it off of all of their heads and re-solidified himself as my favorite fucking BL character, my favorite delusional boyfriend. Maybe in a lot of times I talk about Yuri on Ice and Victor Nikiforov, and I'm like, across genres, it's probably Juicy. He probably beats out Victor just because of that massive dick of his. Like, he just is my type.
Yes. He's a man. He's quite a man. I'm not gonna lie.
He is. If I had to write down from the time of my sexual awakening to now, like what I thought the ideal man was, it was Juicy. And I just am so happy I finally got to cover this story. I'm so glad that you were on for this. How does he uphold to your other delusional boyfriends?
As far as my BL sphere, my number one, I have to be real with you, and I don't want to end not talking about Juicy, but it's from Pearl.
You might be the third person on this podcast to say douche, because
I'll fight.
That is so funny because he is one of those characters who has like a arc glow up as well, and that story is a complex story, so people either love it or they hate it.
It is really rough of a story, but his acceptance of people and as a person is fucking top tier. You can't beat it.
I'm really excited.
Juicy.
That's all like our fandom favorites for what BLs I picked. And so I'm doing Pearl Boy with Layne in June. So if you guys aren't
that'll be stunning.
Already subscribed to the podcast, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe so that you don't miss that episode. But I'm really excited for it because I still have not made my formal introduction to douchic other than in memes and merchandise that I've seen. So I am so excited for that experience.
It's going to be stunning.
So if
so thrilled for you.
If you met Chae-Yun, your delusional boyfriend from this story, in real life, would you date him in real life?
My answer is yes, but on first impressions, no, get the fuck out of my face. But like knowing what I know of the story, and he's it seems like just as genuine as Big Brother and whatever. He seems really genuine. So yes, but I have like a thing where I'm the only one that can be tattooed. So I might have to fight him about it, but whatever, he'll probably win.
That's so funny because I love a tattooed man, and because Juicy doesn't have any tattoos, I was like, it is my only issue with Juicy. I would date him so hard IRL. I'm like, I love a sugar daddy. I would not even ask questions about where he got his money. I would just be like, can I quit this job at the convenience store?
He'd be okay with your BL collection.
Absolutely accepting of everything. Also, he's like bisexual king, so I might have a chance with him. And I just think that his being older, like my daddy issues would so vibe with that. The fact that you have him tattooed on you, that you're so into this story, you're the perfect guest for this episode.
Hey, this is fun.
I'm so happy that you're here. I really hope that you'll do another episode with me in the future.
Some live action Thai BLs like we were talking about.
That would be so great. Yes, everybody definitely tune in. My deep dive into the world of BL live actions is just beginning. And if you guys are interested in BL live actions and Danmei, you have to check out the DL on BL. And please, one more time, tell us where we can find you across social medias and podcast platforms. I love that on Spotify, you can watch the video version of your podcast. That's so helpful.
For DL on BL, probably the best place is DL on BL at Instagram. TikTok's like it exists, but you know, she's crazy over there. Otherwise, any of my other stuff is Mosaic Gray, and Gray is GRAY, mosaicgray.com, because I have 1,000,001 things going on all the time. But Yeah, that's me.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Everybody go check it out. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe over there and on your other podcast, which is Dub Sub Media Hub and Say Her Name. Thank you, everyone who is here at the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club, for being a part of this podcast. Getting to meet other people in the community is one of the great joys. So having guest hosts like Layne on is really why I started this, and having all of you listeners out there tuning in each week is my dream come true. So thank you so much for being here. And until next time, remember, sometimes the delusion
is the solution.
Bye.